Hello and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. It's the international break, so we've got a different type of video today. We're going to have a look at some stats. Now it's been 7 game weeks, so the sample is still small of course, but it's definitely interesting to have a look at some of the stats. Now this is going to be split up into 3 parts. We've got team stats, we've got player attacking stats, and then the defenders have a bit of a section of their own where we have a look at their attacking numbers and these all important defensive contributions. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so we're starting off with these team numbers and we're starting off with total shots so far this season by any team. Man United are top, interestingly. This one did actually surprise me quite a lot. Didn't expect to see Man United there. I expected to see the likes of City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, and as you can see, Arsenal, Liverpool and Chelsea are in 2nd, 3rd and 4th. No surprises there. Bournemouth are also high. I guess that's pretty expected, especially when you've got a player like Semenyo who just shoots on sight a lot of the time. He will have Bournemouth pretty high up these lists. Then it's Crystal Palace. You'll notice Crystal Palace are high up quite a lot of these lists. They've obviously started the season really well, and it's not kind of any surprise that they're high up. City are a bit lower than I thought they'd be as well. What are they there? 7th? Much lower than they'd typically be by now. I mean, this can be affected by a lot of things. Obviously fixtures. There's only been 7 games, so things will impact these. But Leeds are also pretty high now. I mentioned in one of my other videos, in the wildcard video, chances are just being created by Leeds for Calvert-Lewin. He is having quite a lot of shots himself. He's not scoring many goals, annoyingly, for those that own. Not many of you, I imagine. But I do think he's a good option. Then it's Everton, then it's Brighton. So that's shots. If we go on to big chances, we see something a little bit different. Now, the shots can be a bit of an anomaly in that you can have such low quality shots and loads of them, which seems to be what Man United are doing because they're down in 7th on the big chances list. Crystal Palace are top by some distance as well. 25 big chances in 7 game weeks is a lot. And City are in there as well. So City and Palace are not having the most shots, but they are getting the most big chances or creating the most big chances, which is more important than shots, you'd say. And then again, you got Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. It's similar teams, to be honest. Leeds aren't in here like they were, but Everton are in here, Brighton are in here. And then at the bottom, you've got Brentford and Newcastle. Onto the XG for these teams. Man United are top again. However, this is skewed a little bit because of penalties. Man United have had quite a few penalties, more than other teams. I've got a table in a minute that shows the non-penalty XG, and you'll see that Man United are not top of that list. Penalties do skew this a little bit. Crystal Palace, again, high up. I do think that we can really look at going after these Crystal Palace players. I mean, I'm sure most of you are already, but if I was on wildcard, I'd have double Palace at least. Probably even triple Palace. I don't think it's too much, if I'm honest. Man City, Arsenal, they're always going to be high up here. Again, like I mentioned, fixtures can play a part in this. I mean, Crystal Palace have a couple of tough fixtures coming up, so they might drop down these lists a little bit. They've got Arsenal in a few weeks, so after that they may drop a little bit. Brighton are pretty high up all these lists. I mean, the problem is, it's hard to pick a player from Brighton. I think Minte's the guy that we should probably go for, if going for anyone. Then it's Chelsea, then it's Liverpool. Similar teams, to be honest. Bournemouth are a little bit further down here, and you'll notice, so they were really high up on the total shots. They weren't really in the big chances, and they're pretty low down in the expected goals, and we'll see why that is when we get to the player numbers, because Semenyo is a big part of this. We'll talk about that in a bit. Onto the non-penalty numbers now. So Crystal Palace are top of this, and Man United dropped down a bit. As we mentioned, Man United have had a few penalties this season, and penalties can skew these numbers slightly. Man City still high. I mean, a lot of this list is exactly the same, to be honest. I just thought it was interesting to show that Man United do drop down when it comes to non-penalty numbers, because they've had some penalties this season. And then the last team-specific graphic we'll look at here is a more defensive one. So expected goals conceded. So on the flip side, Burnley are bottom. Burnley are the worst defence this season. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone, to be honest. And then Nottingham Forest. Now, Nottingham Forest last season were the complete opposite to this. They defensively were so solid and so good. However, this season, it just isn't working for them. The new manager situation isn't ideal. I mean, Ange has been shipping goals, and Ange just does ship goals realistically. He's not like a defence first manager, maybe more like Nuno was. It's no surprise to see Forest down here. It's also no surprise to see West Ham down here. Now, West Ham have improved a little bit in more recent times, but to start the season, they were shipping serious amounts of goals. Chelsea are down here, interestingly. So again, some of this could be skewed by kind of looking at when they had 10 players on the pitch rather than 11. They had the player sent off. Again, fixtures can play a part in here as well. But yeah, they're not this, well, so far, I mean, it's a small sample of 7 weeks, but they're not this elite defence at the moment. So going after their defenders, whilst that might be a good idea because they've got good fixtures now, and the fact they've got good fixtures now suggests that they didn't have good fixtures to start the season. Maybe that's why they're down here in this list. Everton, I'm surprised Everton are here, to be honest, because in the first couple of weeks, Everton, we thought were going to be a quite good defence, but they really haven't been so far. We've almost seen the opposite of what they were like from last season. Last season, they were a pretty solid defence, but not great going forward. They've now brought in Grealish, they've brought in Dewsbury Hall, and going forward, they look a lot better, but defensively, they're not at it. Part of that will probably be because Branthwaite is injured. When he comes back, we saw last season, their defensive numbers were awful without him. With him, he really does solidify that defence. So Everton, I'm sure, when he's back, will not be so far down in this list. And then it's all pretty tight after that. Brentford, Villa, Wolves, United, Fulham. No real shocking names here. Okay, that wraps up the team numbers section of this video. We're going on to the player attacking numbers now. So as you can see here, total goals, total assists. This is just kind of broad view, total goal contributions. Haaland is obviously top, 9 goals, 1 assist. This might be a little bit small numbers wise, but the graph, especially if you're on mobile, but the graph, you'll be able to see what's going on here. Haaland, 9 goals, 1 assist, and then Semenyo, 6 goals, 3 assists. I mean, it's no surprise that those two are quite far out ahead in front. We knew that. Kudos is in third. Now, a lot of people might have gone under the radar a little bit because he's only scored 1 goal. However, he's got 5 assists to his name. And this is why we don't necessarily like him for fantasy football-wise. I mean, I think he's a great option, a really good option. But obviously, assists, you probably need 2 assists. I mean, 2 assists will get you just a little bit more than a goal will. Points are still points, don't get me wrong. But you do want these midfielders that are going to be getting you goals if possible, like Jadon Anthony has been now. I think this is a bit of a surprising one. It's not even a bit of a surprising one. It's a very, very surprising one. He has 4 goals, 1 assist in 7 game weeks. So 5 goal contributions in 7 weeks for Burnley, who are one of the worst teams in the league. I don't know how, this isn't going to continue at this rate. If he gets 5 goal contributions in the next 7 game weeks, I'd be very surprised. However, for 5.7 million, that is cheap. So you could genuinely go for him. Enzo is also in this list. Again, I think Enzo is now starting to get a bit more popular. 3 goals, 2 assists. One of those was a penalty. And with Cole Palmer out, he's going to be taking penalties. So I do think he's a really good option at 6.7 million. Then João Pedro's in here. He hasn't done much recently, but to start the season, he was really good. 2 goals, 3 assists. And Grealish is, of course, in here. He's got 4 assists. And he's now got a goal. And then Thiago with 4 goals. Now, I started with him in my team at the beginning of the season. He's now getting his flowers after that performance against Man United. Sarr is in here, which is pretty impressive given that he missed a few games. And then Ndai rounds out this list as well. Now we're going to look at non-penalty XG. And this is where Haaland is just, look at that, 7.7. He's got over double the person in second place, which is Mateta. Now you'll see in second place is Mateta and Sarr. This is really impressive from Sarr, especially given that he was out for a few weeks. So he hasn't even played every single game this season, but he's still joint third for the most XG, non-penalty XG. So that is just brilliant. Semenyo is in 4th here, 2.9. So he's got 2.9 non-penalty XG and he's got 6 goals. One of the goals was a penalty. So 5 non-penalty goals from 2.9 XG, which is obviously overperformance. Whether we see that last or not, who knows. Enzo is in here as well. And this is non-penalty XG, so this doesn't include the penalty that he took. Interesting to see that he's so high up. Chris Wood is in here. Now, a lot of people aren't happy with Chris Wood in their team, and rightfully so. His minutes don't look the best, and even with not the best minutes so far this season, he's still quite high up here. Then it's Beto, Gyökeres, Jadon Anthony is in here, and then Mbeumo, interestingly. If we go on to big chances, this is another interesting one. Again, obviously Haaland is top. Haaland is top of all of the goal metrics. Mateta is in second with 9. Interesting to see how many big chances he's picking up. Quite a few of those are probably at the weekend just gone, where he did not have his finishing boots at all. Couldn't even kick the ball properly at times. Semenyo is in here as well. Then again, Enzo, Gyökeres, Danny Welbeck's in here. Given that he hasn't played loads of minutes either, it's interesting that he's got 5 big chances. Then Thiago, Anthony, Bruno Fernandes is in here. That's a really interesting one. And then Sarr is here. Not too many surprises, bar maybe Welbeck and Bruno Fernandes. And then if we go on to the expected assists, you're seeing Grealish at the top. That is of no surprise to anyone. You're also seeing Dewsbury Hall at the top. Again, probably no surprise to anyone there. And Burmo's in third. He has 1.6 as well. He, again, is quite high up on a few of these stats. I mean, I do think he's actually a really good option. He just plays for Man United, who are terrible, but his numbers have been good. I think if Cunha wasn't injured, he'd be in here as well. They've both started really well. Saka's in here, interestingly, for expected assists, given that he was out for a few weeks. That's pretty impressive that he is in here. Wharton's in here. He's created a few big chances. Gakpo, Doku, Brooks, Bruno Fernandes is in this one as well. You do expect to see him in the expected assists, although he is actually playing a bit deeper this season, so maybe we would have expected that to drop. And then Esteval's in here as well. And the last attacking player thing we'll look at. So this one is interesting. This is what I was mentioning earlier, where what this is, total FPL points, less expected total FPL points. Now, it's up to you whether you kind of read into the expected points, but this is essentially overperformance. And obviously Semenyo is right at the top here. Semenyo is, I mean, the numbers don't really matter. I'm not sure that the numbers are worth looking at. It's more that these players are at the top of the overperformance. Some of them make complete sense as to why they're in here. Semenyo, 9 goal involvements from the expected numbers that he had is obviously overperformance. Caicedo, he's not going to be scoring this many goals going forward. So the amount of goals he's got at the moment means that his FPL points are inflated. Gehi as well, he's got a lot of attacking returns, which won't be expected going forward. Dan Burn, I'm not sure that Dan Burn is one that I expected in here, to be honest. I think Newcastle have just been pretty solid. Gravenberch is another one. He's got some attacking returns already that we maybe wouldn't expect to see going forward. Alderete, I think the 17-pointer makes up most of this the other week. Senesi, Roofs, I think Roofs is one. I don't actually know if that's how you pronounce his name. It's probably not. But Sunderland probably weren't expected to be one of the, not even one of the better defences, but an okay defence, which they actually have been so far. And then Cullen's got some goal contributions that maybe we didn't expect him to. And Romero's in here. So I just thought that one was quite interesting. Whether you subscribe to the expected points or not, it's still an interesting thing to look at. And like I say, the numbers aren't too important here. It's more the players that are in the top 10. That wraps up the attacking player numbers. Now we'll move on to the defensive numbers, and then we'll have a look at some defensive contribution stuff as well. So attacking stats for defenders. This is total shots so far through 7 game weeks. So Calafiori is top by some distance, 14 shots in 7 game weeks. He's averaging 2 shots a game, which is really impressive. Timber's in third as well. That one is less surprising maybe, although they're both quite unsurprising in that they have both been playing incredibly attacking with how Arsenal have set up. These Arsenal defenders are great. Munoz is in here. That is of no surprise to anyone. He is the most attacking defender, bar maybe Timber this season, but without Timber, he is the most attacking defender in the league this year. It's crazy some of the positions he picks up. If you watch the highlights from Crystal Palace's game at the weekend, you'll see him popping up in like a Salah-esque position. It's ridiculous. Michael Keane, whenever he gets game time, he is always an absolute threat from set pieces. So it's not too surprising that he's in here. Chalobah's in here, interestingly. You've got players like Ballard, Rodon, Dunk, Nico Williams. Not really too much to write home about these guys, although Rodon for 4 million is kind of nice when he's averaging nearly a shot a game. Then if we go on to the XG for these guys, so Timber, Calafiori out on top as we expected. If you're on wildcard this week, then I think you can include the likes of Timber or Calafiori. I mentioned in my wildcard draft video that you could go Gabriel, of course you can, and he is safer for starts. He maybe gets you 9 out of 10 starts, whereas Timber maybe gets you 7 or 8 out of 10. However, I think given how attacking Timber is beaten, even if he's starting less games, he'll probably make up for that in attacking returns. Like I say, you don't necessarily need to get all the starts to get the points, although Gabriel is in third here. So 3 Arsenal defenders top the expected goals list for game weeks 1 to 7. Vandenberg's in here, Munoz is in here. Again, these are going to be similar players. So you've got Chalobah, you've got Gomez, you've got Keane, you've got Munoz. No surprises really. Then we get onto the expected assists, and Munoz is top of this one. Besides the Arsenal defenders, Munoz is definitely the most attacking defender we have in the league at the moment. It's no surprise. Luca Dean, Cucurella. Cucurella's not doing quite what he did last season, but he's still up here. Reece James as well. When he plays, and more so when he plays at right back, he is getting some good expected assist numbers. Pedro Porro's in here, and Juve is in here. So Juve actually does have quite a few assists so far this season. He looks like a real threat with the balls that he puts in. Anderson's in here, interestingly. I mean, these numbers, when it gets down to the bottom, they're quite small, so that could have come from one like massive chance that they created. But even so, good that he's in here. And then Trippier as well. He might be getting some more game time now with Livramento out for a bit. That wraps up the attacking numbers. Now we'll look at some defensive contribution numbers for defenders, and then we'll get onto the midfielders after. So this is just total clearances, blocks, interceptions and tackles for defenders. Obviously, we want to be targeting the guys that are doing the most of these, which is why everybody's going for Senesi. He is actually 5 million now. When I sorted this graphic out, he was 4.9, he's 5 million now. Tarkowski, 5.5. Again, these are kind of guys we already know about. Senesi, Tarkowski, Anderson, Virgil van Dijk. Chris Richards is one that I do think is actually going under the radar a bit, although Palace have so many good options. Then Lacroix as well. Keane. So if Keane was actually going to be a first choice and nailed for quite a long time, he would be worth considering putting him in your team, but we know that Branthwaite's coming back soon. Then it's Esteve, Alderete and Agbadou. So this is just total numbers. But if we go to per start now, this is a graphic from FPL Tom Hadley. If you don't know about him, check him out on X. He puts really good stuff out about defensive contributions. The numbers are going to be a bit small if you're on mobile, but on the left side, we've got total defensive contributions for defenders per start. Now, obviously the same names are here. You've got Senesi first, Anderson third, Tarkowski fourth, Van Dijk. But what you do have here is Mukiele in second. This is what I mentioned on wildcard in game week 6 and why I went with him in my team. He didn't start the first few games, so he's not going to be at the top of the total defensive contributions, but on a per game basis, he is in here, and he's hit it in 80% of games as well. He, at 4 million, looks really good for defensive contributions, and you might not be able to see further down, but it's the same names, essentially. You've got Senesi, Mukiele, Anderson, Tarkowski, Van Dijk, Mavropanos, who is starting more games now, Lacroix, Richards, Agbadou, Keane. On the right, you've got which teams are best for defensive contributions against, if that makes sense. Essentially, which teams are giving up the most defensive contributions, and Bournemouth are top of this with an average of 11.2. This is also by position as well. So they're all centre-backs, apart from there's a Liverpool left-back in here as well. So Liverpool, or left-backs against Liverpool, are giving up a lot of defensive contributions as well. Maybe that's something to do with Salah, because if you're a left-back playing against Liverpool, you're up against Salah. It's centre-backs versus Bournemouth, then centre-backs versus Liverpool, then Arsenal, then Villa, Palace, left-backs against Liverpool, centre-backs against Everton, Brentford, Man United, Newcastle. Maybe not too much to look into, but I thought it was quite interesting to show anyway. And like I say, make sure you are following Tom Hadley on X. Now, if we look at the midfielders here, so this is exactly the same, except we're including recoveries as well, because midfielders and forwards get points or defensive contributions for recoveries, ball recoveries too. Now, obviously, they need to hit 12 rather than 10 like the defenders do. Caicedo is top here. We kind of knew that was going to be the case going into the season. Caicedo and Tarkowski were kind of like the defensive contribution poster boys. Anderson, again, we knew that he was going to be high up here. The likes of Cullen, Xhaka, we kind of knew was going to be high up as well. And he's on some set pieces, so he is genuinely a good option, although he's definitely got a yellow/red card in him. Garner, Adams, Szoboszlai, Gomez. Bruno Fernandes is in here. Again, we kind of knew that he'd be good for that. And then Yarmouk. And then if we do it per appearance as well. So this is where, again, Caicedo, Anderson are top. The only ones that are above 12 are the top 4, and 12 is the threshold you need. So Caicedo, Anderson, Cullen, Xhaka. Caicedo is just a genuinely good option at 5.7 million. However, if you're going to buy him, don't expect these attacking returns to continue like he's been getting them. But you can expect defensive contributions most weeks. And all the players are pretty much the same. Bruno Fernandes is in here at 10th as well. That is all for this one. If you enjoyed this different style of video, I maybe will have another look at this in the next international break, but I find it interesting to look over the stats at different times in the season. Make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.